So the last few days have brought back to me a lot of my memories of different ideas I had over the last decade working at Intel Arm and NVIDIA of various ways for compute to be delivered effectively and efficiently. And I think I touched on this topic like 3 or 4 times over the last couple of days, where I basically said that if you're constrained by foreign powers from having access to the compute silicon you might want to have, the thing to do might be to create a compute infrastructure, an open compute marketplace where people can buy and sell compute assets. Today, I want to take it a step further. I woke up and have you ever taken an Asperger's test? I take an Asperger's test. It said I had 98% Asperger's. I never bothered actually getting that looked into, but that's a whole lot of Asperger's, and it was consistent because I took multiple tests. It was 5 tests told me I have 90% Asperger's. So when you have too much Asperger's, you just have ideas all the time. So I guess I don't know if that's what's happening here. So I want to take my idea a step forward, and I think that if I was China, what I would do is I would treat my energy I think countries like the United States, we treat our energy grid like a natural resource. It's we have our energy grid, it's protected, it's got all the security, and we have this system for sharing energy. It's oh, your solar panel produces energy over there. My solar panel, I need to pull some energy off the grid to use a little bit. So energy is delivered as a grid. And I believe that computation and internet are also likewise as sensitive and as important increasingly. So I think that if I was China, or I think even the United States, or other advanced European, northern Western powers, should be treating their compute infrastructure as a compute grid. Compute grid should work the same as a energy grid, or be similar in nature to the energy grid, but it's access to compute resource, and it's a self-balancing mesh of available computers. Because at some point, it's I think we've gone down this road with the internet where we're starting to treat it as a infrastructure. It's basically a commoditized dumb pipe, and nobody owns it. Nobody gets to say, it's like water pipes. It's like energy lines. It's like telephone lines. Nobody gets to tell you what internet you get to see, and internet is a shared natural commodity. And I think compute could head that direction. In that it's access to running compute workloads may be a critical national asset. I've also touched upon multiple times how inefficient modern data centers are, and how effectively what happens if you have a bunch of private companies that are building bare metal edge computing locations is that you end up with a lot of very underutilized silicon. So you have all these CPU, GPU sitting in some bare metal server not being used because effectively it's kind of walled off from the rest of the market. If I was China, I would probably be trying to pursue a compute grid approach where I'm okay, nobody we understand obviously there's a lot of security considerations, security concerns. There's a lot of reasons why you want to put compute behind a VPN firewall or air gap. For a lot of reasons. But I wonder if there's a world where countries like the United States can open up their compute backbones for the free buying and selling. It's just kind of transferring some of the key learnings from Amazon Web Services down to a national level. So that's my concept, a compute grid, a national compute grid. How come nobody's talking about this kind of stuff? And I don't think anybody likes to change or take steps like this until you have an emergency or a crisis where you can't get compute parts. So I could see United States doing this. I could see China doing this. I could see some of the advanced powers doing this. Will it ever happen? I don't know. Probably not.